afternoon, everybody. Thank you, Ike, for this opportunity and this invitation. I'm sorry I could not be there, but let me start presenting from here. So, for now, every neurosurgeon who wants to do intraaxial brain surgery, it is becoming a prerequisite to understand the white fiber anatomy of the brain. So, these are the major white fibers of the brain, and these are the deficits that can occur due to damage to these white fiber bundles. They have been ignored for quite some time when we are concentrating on eloquent cortical anatomy. But now, as more and more monitoring is being performed, we realize the value and importance of these tracks and the deficits that occur due to their damage. So recently, we published this paper in 2018 on the architecture and function of the white fibers of the brain and a fiber dissection study which was performed in KEM Hospital by me and my colleagues. So based on this, to simplify the understanding of white fibers, we classified the white fibers of the brain into 5 groups. 4 were horizontal and 1 was vertical. The 4 horizontal groups are the yellow circle here is the short association fibers or the superficial group. The next group in the horizontal fibers is the middle group, this blue circle here. These are the long association fibers. So this is the cingulum here and the superior longitudinal fasciculus, the medial half of it that comes in this category. Also, you have the IFOF, the uncinate, and the arcuate, which also fall into this category. Then you have the deep group of association fibers that are in relation to the ventricle. And here you have the fornix and other stria terminalis, stria medullaris, thalami that are present in relation to the ventricle and are all C-shaped. The 4th horizontal group is that of the commissural fibers, and it consists of the habenular, corpus callosum, posterior commissure, and the anterior commissure. And the last group is this orange circle or the vertical group of projection fibers, that is the internal and external capsule dorsal part continuing as the corona radiata. So what is the significance of this classification? If you understand this blue structure here are the projection fibers. These projection fibers separate the middle group of long association fibers into a medial half and a lateral half. So the fibers like the cingulum and the medial part of the SLF, which are medial to these projection fibers, do not cross over to this side. And lateral to the projection fibers, there is the uncinate fasciculus, the IFOF, the inferior longitudinal fasciculus, the parts of the sagittal stratum, and the arcuate fasciculus. So they're distinctly separated by these projection fibers. The second important thing is the projection fibers keep the commissural fibers between them when you include both the hemispheres. So if you see these red fibers here, these are the fibers of the corpus callosum, and they are limited laterally by these projection fibers. The only commissural fiber that crosses this just below the internal capsule is the anterior commissure, which I will show you in later dissections. So to understand this anatomy, I'm going to show you the fibers of the brain from all its aspects, from the lateral, inferior, and the medial aspects. So we start with the lateral aspect of the brain, and we are all familiar with this image. So when you have to start dissecting, you remove all this pia and the vasculature over the surface of the brain, and this is what you see before you start preparing the specimen for dissection. So this is the magnificent image of the brain, which is divided into frontal, central, parietal, temporal, and occipital lobes, with the hidden lobe of the insula lying within the operculum in the Sylvian fissure. And the last lobe is the limbic lobe, which I will show you. So to start dissecting from laterally, you first remove all the gray matter that is present in between all these sulci. You dissect a thin layer of gray matter here. You identify the white fibers in this region and you dissect around it, and you will get this structure. These are the superficial system or the short arcuate fibers. You see there is a thin layer of gray matter that has been preserved on the surface of the gyrus, and all the other gray matter within the depth of the sulci has been removed, and this is the whole short arcuate fibers. So if you see this beautiful image, you see innumerable connections of the short arcuate fibers or the U fibers between the various gyri of the brain. So to take a closer look, here I'm just showing you some connections that are present between the middle frontal gyrus and the precentral gyrus. Then there is a connection in the depth between the pre and the post-central gyri in this region. This is known as the passage of Broca. This is the connection of the middle frontal gyrus to the precentral gyrus in the depth. Again, there are multiple connections in this region which are important during surgery. Once you remove this short arcuate fibers, this is what you will see on the lateral aspect of the hemisphere. So this you see is the corona radiata, which is the continuation of the projection fibers. In the center, lateral to it, you have the lateral part of the SLF. So traditionally, this has been known as the SLF1 on the medial side and SLF2 and 3. But I like to call it the lateral part of the SLF as it is lateral to the projection fibers. So these are fibers that run from the frontal to the parietal region to basically the supramarginal and angular gyri. And if you see carefully, maybe you can distinguish two parts here, SLF2 and 3, but it is usually difficult to trace them separately. The next fiber bundle here, just beneath the SLF, is the arcuate fasciculus that runs from frontal, parietal to temporal. This connection here is a short fiber connection between the Broca's area in the inferior frontal gyrus to the arcuate fasciculus. So more of the brain has been dissected. Now you can see the lateral part of the SLF more clearly, and this is the arcuate fasciculus. I have colored them in this image so you can identify this blue thing is the lateral part of the superior longitudinal fasciculus, and this orange structure is the arcuate fasciculus. After all the gray matter has been removed, this is what remains of all the fibers that you see from the lateral aspect of the hemisphere, the SLF, the arcuate. Here you have another fiber bundle that is the vertical occipital fasciculus. And in the depth here, you will also have the frontal Ashland tract. When you look at it from the medial aspect, just to complete the middle group of fibers, so this is the corpus callosum. Then you have this fiber bundle here that is the cingulum. The cingulum has distinct connections with the precuneus in this region that you can see here, and another frontal connection majorly to the superior frontal gyrus. Just above the cingulum runs fibers of the medial part of the SLF, traditionally known as SLF1, but I call it the middle part of the SLF. So this is the group of fibers that you see from the lateral aspect or the middle group of fibers. And how is this relevant during surgery? So if you see this is a tumor in the supplementary motor area. This is your precentral gyrus. This is the posterior part of the superior frontal gyrus, classically at the supplementary motor area. You can see it in this MRI clearly. This is the central sulcus. This is the precentral gyrus. This is the tumor. You can see that the corticospinal tract has been displaced posteriorly, and all the other fibers, the projection fibers, will be displaced medially and posteriorly. And once you understand this anatomy, you can go in and do a good radical resection of this tumor. And you can see this FLAIR image. All of the tumor is out. The monitoring shows that the motor evac potentials are normal. And this is the en masse resection of the glioma that we are now currently performing. And we've recently published a paper. This is Professor Goyal's new philosophy on resection of gliomas. This is another tumor in the pars triangularis and the pars opercularis. So if you see this functional MRI, the speech area has been pushed posteriorly a little bit, and these are the functional areas of the motor cortex. These are the anatomical correlation with these fibers. So if you see this location, this is a tractography image that I've constructed, and the fibers are displaced medially. So you have the arcuate fasciculus running posteriorly and medially to the tumor. And if you enter in this area, it will be safe to perform a good resection. Now we've seen the fibers from the lateral aspect. Let's go a little deeper into the region of the insula. So this is the frontal, parietal, and temporal opercula. The insula forms an external shield for the central core of the brain. So this is the region of the central core where you have the basal ganglia, the thalamus, the internal capsule in this region. The insula forms an external shield for this region. The anterior part of the insula is related to the caudate. The posterior part leads to the atrium. And these are just an image showing some important relations. So once you open the opercula, which are the curtains, you start seeing the gyri of the insula. These are separated into a short gyri and long gyri by the central sulcus of the insula, which is in the continuity with the central sulcus of the cerebral hemisphere. You can see the direction completely and clearly it's in the same line. The gyri in the anterior part of this central sulcus are the transverse gyri and the accessory insular gyri, and you have the anterior, middle, and posterior short insular gyri, and this is the anterior and posterior long insular gyri. I'm not going to go into details of this, So this is an image where the opercula have been removed, and you can see the gyri, which are surrounded by the superior, inferior, and anterior limiting sulci. The whole thing is called the circular sulcus of the insula. So you remove the gray matter, and this is the first structure you will see. You start seeing the extreme capsule. Between the extreme capsule, you see these fibers. These white fibers come up from the extreme capsule, connecting the gyri and the insula to the cortex and form part of the claustrocortical fiber system. Once you remove this extreme capsule, you see a very thin layer of gray matter here in this region, and that is the claustrum. Once you further lift away the claustrum, you'll start seeing the external capsule. So these are fibers of the external capsule. This is a bit of the putamen has been dissected, and beneath that you have fibers of the internal capsule. So this is the classical spoke and wheel appearance that you see here. These are fibers of the external capsule. This is the putamen, and in the depth is the internal capsule. Now the external capsule has actually got two parts. So the ventral part is formed of association fibers, whereas the dorsal part are formed of projection fibers, which connect the insula to the corona radiata. So basically behind the arcuate, fibers of the external go up and meet the internal capsule to form the corona radiata. This is the dorsal part. So the ventral part consists of the IFOF and the uncinate fasciculus, which are association fibers connecting the frontal, temporal, and occipital brain. Now, more dissection in this region, you can see the IFOF more clearly. The uncinate has been cut here. And this is another image that shows the IFOF originating from this area, going behind and forming part of this sagittal stratum. This structure here is the uncinate fasciculus. Now the globus pallidus and the putamen in this region have been removed, and you start seeing the internal capsule. The arcuate fasciculus has been cut here in this region, and this is the sagittal stratum. So now the whole of the gray matter in this region has been removed, and the entire extent of the internal capsule is reached. So you have the anterior limb, the genu, posterior limb, the sublenticular part, and the retrolenticular part, which is the Mayer's loop of the internal capsule. So this is your limit. When you dissect from laterally, this is your end point. Beyond this, you will traverse the internal capsule. So based on these dissection studies, we also identified, if you see this loop here, this is the Mayer's loop, which actually curves from inferiorly, forms the roof and lateral part of the temporal horn. And this is the region of the hippocampus. So there is an area here in the anterior part of the temporal horn, which is devoid of any fibers of the Mayer's loop and safe to enter. So this is just a tractographic image showing the various fiber bundles. This is the arcuate, the yellow is the IFOF. So some tumors in this region quickly. This is a region in the tumor in the perisylvian region, morely in the superior temporal gyrus on the left side. If you understand the tractography, if you understand the anatomy of the fibers, you can go in and perform a safe radical resection without causing any problems. This is a tumor in the insular region going towards the uncinate fasciculus. And you can see again a good radical resection we have removed with the understanding of our anatomy. This is a small technical note that I had published in Asian Journal. When I was earlier performing insular glioma surgery, I had some difficulty in identifying some vessels, and I used ICG to determine whether they were en passage vessels or they were going to the tumor. So I'm not going to show this video, just I'll show you that I identified this vessel as going across and going to the motor cortex and then preserved it while removing the tumor. So this is again another tumor in the region of the insula. You can see these fibers, you can understand the displacement. You understand that the tumor involves a named fiber tract and displaces the adjoining fiber tracts. And with this philosophy, you can go in and remove the tumor. So these are the fibers that are displaced. The important ones are pushed, and you go in, find a safe entry point and perform a good resection. We've seen the lateral aspect completely, and now we are going to the inferior aspect of the brain. I will not go into the cortical anatomy. So this is the region of the uncus and the parahippocampus. You remove the gray matter in this region, and you start seeing this fiber bundle here. This is the end of the cingulum. This is the radiation of the cingulum as it turns and comes and ends in the parahippocampal region. Once you remove this radiation of the cingulum, you start seeing the ependyma of the temporal horn. You remove the ependyma and you will see the hippocampus in all its glory. This gray matter in the anterior aspect of the temporal horn is the amygdala. This is the choroid plexus. Then I have deflected the hippocampus and the choroid plexus down, and you start seeing the beginning of the Mayer's loop. This is the lateral geniculate body, and you can see fibers that are originating in this region, going and turning into the roof and temporal part of the lateral part of the temporal horn. So this is the Mayer's loop in another view where the specimen is turned laterally. And this is the image that you've seen earlier where it forms the roof and lateral part of the temporal horn. So if you see this image, this is the IFOF, these are the sagittal stratum. Now I have tilted this image. You see the relation of the hippocampus to the sagittal stratum. So if you see IFOF is turning here, the Mayer's loop is turning here, the anterior commissure is behind. So this area is safe and devoid of any fibers. So you can make a safe entry into this region. So Professor Goel described this approach for performing medial temporal lobe epilepsy surgery. And we use the approach to the middle temporal gyrus at this point, which is devoid of any fibers, enter the anterior part of the temporal horn anteriorly, and then go ahead and resect the whole amygdala, hippocampus, make a disconnection here and remove this portion of the neocortex completely. So again, to just show you that we enter from this region through the middle temporal gyrus, which is devoid of any visual fibers. Again, the same approach we are using for tumors in the medial temporal region, in the parahippocampal region. You see this lesion in this region, and I have operated this patient and removed the tumor radically. Again, another huge tumor in the region of the parahippocampal gyrus. Again, the entry is through the between the middle and inferior temporal gyrus, more towards the middle temporal gyrus. You can see all the fibers are displaced superiorly if you understand this anatomy and perform a radical resection. Now going to the frontal part of the brain, this is the H-shaped cruciform sulcus of Rolando, dividing this into the medial, anterior, posterior, and lateral orbital gyri. So we devised an approach through this region for lesions that are located deep in the region of the ventricle, that is the caudate head. This was our earlier paper, and recently we have published this paper where we have devised true trajectories to reach the regions lateral to the frontal horn or to the caudate head. One is to the medial orbital gyrus and one is to the lateral orbital gyrus. And you can see the direction of the trajectories that takes you directly to the caudate head. To understand how it is safe for fibers in this region, this is a basal view of the brain from the inferior aspect. This is the anterior commissure. These are some fibers of the uncinate fasciculus as they're going to the temporal lobe. And this is an upturned specimen. This is the frontal brain, temporal brain. This is the region of the frontal horn. This will be the region of the caudate. And if you enter from here, you are avoiding most of the fibers, or if you enter from here, maybe just a little bit of forceps minor may come in the way, but both of them are safe trajectories to approach lesions in the caudate head. And they are the shortest trajectory instead of an interhemispheric approach to reach this region. See, if you see this tumor, if you have to reach here from top, the trajectory is very long. And this is a safe trajectory, short trajectory to reach this lesion. As you can see in this image, a lateral orbital trajectory with a complete resection of the tumor. Lastly, the limbic system. So this is the cingulate gyrus, and it continues as the parahippocampal gyrus. So parahippocampal gyrus continuing here as the cingulate, continuing posteriorly as the lingual, and it forms the cortical ring of the limbic lobe. Once you start removing the gray matter in this region, you start seeing the mammillary body and the mammillothalamic tract as it goes in the anterior nucleus of the thalamus. This is an image showing the fibers that have been removed on the lateral on the medial aspect of the hemisphere. So again, this is the cingulum. This is its parietal connection. This is its frontal connection. And these are on top will be the medial part of the SLF. Once you dissect more in this region, I've cut the corpus callosum here. This is the caudate head. So to dissect for the limbic system, we have to remove this caudate head to identify the anterior thalamic radiations, which continue to join the cingulum. So this is the whole Pappes circuit that has been dissected, which begins here in the region of the hippocampus, goes on to become the fimbria, the fornix, columns of the fornix, mammillary body, mammillothalamic tract, anterior nucleus of thalamus, anterior thalamic radiation, cingulum, and back again in the parahippocampal region as the radiation of the cingulum to end here and completing the circuit. So this is the whole Pappes circuit that has been dissected out here by me and my colleague Sukhdeep, who is also there in this webinar. And this is another component of the limbic system, that is the olfactory tract and the medial and lateral olfactory striae. So this was our paper way back in 2012. And this anatomy is important to understand resection of parahippocampal tumors, of limbic system tumors. So this is a tumor in the region of the parahippocampal gyrus. and a resection has been performed using the same trajectory that I described earlier and with a good, safe radical resection. So if you see this tumor, you realize that it is affecting the cingulum. It is unilateral. It is going in the direction of the precuneus as the connection of the cingulum goes in the direction of the precuneus. You understand this? Come interhemispheric. You see that the projection fibers are displaced laterally, the other fibers are displaced inferiorly, and you can go ahead and perform a beautiful resection. Lastly, the fibers of the corpus callosum or the commissural fibers. So basically, if you understand the commissural fibers, this is a recent paper that we have written. The corpus callosum is made up of dorsal, ventral, anterior, and posterior radiations. So these fibers that go up, they traverse up and join the medial aspect of the corona radiata to form the centrum semiovale. I call the dorsal radiation. This part that goes anteriorly is the forceps minor or the anterior radiations. The ventral radiations are these fibers that cover the roof and lateral aspect of the temporal horn, and that is the tapetum posteriorly. And these fibers that you see here going in the region of the basal ganglia and the caudate head. And the posterior radiations are the forceps major, as you can see here, connecting both the occipital cortices to each other. So these are the colored coded for the various fibers of the corpus callosum, the dorsal, the ventral. This is how they are related to the IFOF. So basically the corpus callosum connects your entire hemisphere with minute connections. And we have recently just dissected this and we have sent for publication. So if you understand the anatomy of the corpus callosum, it becomes easier to operate on corpus callosal gliomas. So it's a tumor of the splenium. It appears bizarre, but once you understand the fibers, that the projection fibers are laterally displaced, the other corpus callosum fibers are displaced anteriorly, you can go in safely through an interhemispheric approach and perform a good radical resection, as you can see here. Last one is the anterior commissure. So the anterior commissure begins in the midline and connects both the temporal and frontal regions. This is the frontal connection. This is the temporal connection of the anterior commissure. It resembles a bicycle handlebar, as you can see in this image here. So basically, the anterior commissure runs posterior to the IFOF and anterior to the Meyer's loop as it runs in the lateral part of the temporal horn. And it runs and it hugs the temporal horn. So if you see this anterior commissure on one side, it is coming here, it gives out a frontal connection here. This is the substantia innominata. And it continues here in the lateral aspect of the temporal horn. And it is kind of embracing the entire temporal horn on both the sides. That is the appearance of the anterior commissure, as I like to call it. You can see this anterior commissure joining fibers of the IFOF and the Meyer's loop as it forms part of the sagittal stratum. So finally, just to conclude, so this is your medial aspect of the hemisphere, and this is the classification dividing into 5 layers that I discussed earlier. From the lateral aspect superimposed on the lateral aspect of the hemisphere, again, you have this yellow circle is the middle group, the red one is the superficial group, the blue one is the projection fibers of the vertical group. And when you see from superiorly, you see that the projection fibers lie here, and the middle group of fibers that are lateral remain lateral and that are medial remain medial to this projection fiber system. Thank you very much.